You're telling me that with the second most cap space in the league, we can't get any big name? Not even more than one? No. This is the year where we finally turn it around. My expectations, unfortunately, are kind of low for the Falcons to do anything huge in this offseason. I'll believe it when I see it, but...
Hey, Terry, I don't know if you care, but I made an apology letter for you. If you're interested in reading it, like I can mail it to you.
What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown, and if you're new here, welcome. Wow, I am gonna have to issue Terry Fontenot an apology letter. I do remember saying basically all year, my expectations for the Falcons in free agency are very low. I'm not expecting them to make any big moves, and I need to make an apology because there's something that I'm gonna have to admit I might have been wrong about, and it's not just that my expectations were low on the Falcons making moves. I do remember on this channel, over the years, I've always said, cap space is a myth. Oh, like, you know, they're billionaires and millionaires for a reason. They manage money for a reason. They should know how to use the money that they have to get the players that they want, despite the cap space that they have, blah, blah, blah. And I might have been wrong about that, because the Falcons clearly needed to save some money in order to get some of these big guys, and also in order to re-sign some of their best guys. So I think I was wrong about the cap space being a myth thing. Now, is it still a little weird that there are some teams that are able to just make these moves despite having low cap space? Yeah, but then you have to pay the consequences. Look at the Saints, like, yeah, sure, they were able to get Derek Carr, but then they had to get rid of most of their defense, and for some reason they like to get rid of their defense to their division rivals, like Shy Tuttle going to the Panthers, and then David Onyemata to the Falcons, which we'll talk about in a second. So there's consequences to having very low cap space and trying to win now with it. So... you know, I might have been wrong about the cap space thing the Falcons did need to save up in the end. Now, there is something I was right about, though, is I told you that the Falcons did need to clean house and rebuild a little bit, though. The Falcons shouldn't have tanked, because then it wouldn't have gave any free agent any interest in this team whatsoever. So I guess I was wrong about if they should completely tank as a whole, but they did need to clean house a little bit and save some money, get rid of their best players like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in order to build a team like this. And it's safe to say, even though in 2021 and 2022, people weren't so happy about it, I don't think people are complaining about it now. So I guess I was right and wrong about a Falcons rebuild, but mostly I was wrong about where the cap space is and like how the Falcons should, you know, spend their free agency. But I just wanted to get that out there, and I'm recording this a little earlier than I usually do for these videos. This is being recorded at like, what, 6, I can't really tell, like 6:20, I think. I can't really tell what the clock says, but yeah, it's a little earlier than usual. So if there's any big moves that happen later today, just know that I didn't get to it. And maybe you could ask a mailbag question about it and I could answer it. Remember, mailbag questions are answered every single Sunday on the community tab. If you have a question for me and you would like to hear my thoughts on your question, I will get to your question every Sunday. But make sure to put your question on the community tab where I ask for mailbag questions. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, so I'll start with the smaller stuff, even though the smaller signings are still very huge for us. But this one dates a little earlier than all the crazy free agency moves, is we actually re-signed Lorenzo Carter. I didn't really see that coming, and I should have, because I did say that Lorenzo Carter was a player we should have kept. I thought that he was doing pretty well for us. You know, Georgia guy, everyone loves it, that he's from Georgia and is still playing back home in Atlanta. And, you know, he obviously likes that too. And, you know, he's a veteran that can coach up the young guys, which just start tallying the amount of times I say that in these videos. But he is a veteran that can coach up these young guys, and he was a nice little impact on the field. I thought he did some pretty nice things, and then the Falcons voided his contract, and I was like, oh, I guess he's not coming back. And then they didn't void his contract, and then now he's staying for a little bit. I forget how many years, but he's in a 2-year deal. Okay, so he's going to be with us for a little while. The Falcons see a little bit of potential in him, and I agree with the move. I think it was the right thing to do to keep Lorenzo Carter. You need a pass rush badly, and he's a great player. Then we get Caden Ellis, the linebacker from the New Orleans Saints. Again, not really sure why the Saints are giving us their best players, but I guess I'm not complaining. So Caden Ellis, I won't act like I know so much about him, but I know that he's a very solid player for the Saints. He did some pretty nice things for a defense that was, what was it ranked according to ESPN last year statistically? I think the Saints had like a top 5 or 10 defense last year. I can't really remember where they ranked, but they were very, very, very high. And I know Caden Ellis actually did have something to do with that. And, you know, he also played right next to Demario Davis. Falcons actually did need linebacker pretty bad. Linebacker was a very sneaky need for the Falcons, and learning next to Demario Davis and playing under Ryan Nielsen for a little bit, who we actually do still have, this could be very impactful for the Falcons. So I like that they're getting guys that are familiar with some other guys that are already on our team. Like, they're familiar with Ryan Nielsen, so he kind of already knows what to expect, and he could play very well. And, you know, he also learned under Demario Davis, and could bring some nice stuff for Michael Walker and Troy Anderson to learn. Then we get Keith Smith, the fullback. Cordero Patterson's biggest goal was to recruit him and bring him back. Congratulations, you got it. And I don't really have anything to say. It's literally just a fullback. I mean, I guess I have a little bit to say. Like, the Falcons are a running team, at the moment at least. But they're a very run-heavy team, and we do need a fullback to make the run game even stronger. We only signed him to a 1-year deal, so I don't really know what else to say other than, you know, I hope that this signing was worth it, and let's just see where it goes. And speaking of, I don't have much to say, we also re-signed a punter, a 3-year deal for a Bradley Pinion punter. Like, you know, awesome, good for him. Just punt the ball well. I don't really know what else to say. Just punt the ball, man, and we're happy. All right, now we're getting into the bigger moves. David Onyemata, the defensive tackle from the New Orleans Saints. Now, in my free agency video last week where I was saying, you know, the best free agents for the Falcons to pick up, and I kind of flirted with it on Twitter too, I did think that it wasn't really all that impossible for the Falcons to get a defensive tackle from the Saints, because the Saints were losing all of their defensive line because they didn't have the cap space, and they just like to give the Falcons their best guys for some reason, and we had Ryan Nielsen. Now, granted, I thought it was going to be Marcus Davenport that we get, but instead we get David Onyemata, and I am not complaining. David Onyemata is a great player, again, familiar with Ryan Nielsen. We need pass rush help badly, badly, badly. Grady Jarrett would really like to appreciate some of this, and, you know, again, veteran guy to coach up the young guys, so I'm definitely not complaining. They signed him to a 3-year deal. I think this was an amazing move. It's quietly one of the best moves of the offseason. No one's going to talk about it because David Onyemata is not like the biggest superstar, but he is a superstar, and I think this was an awesome move, and you know, watch out. This pass rush probably isn't going to be like, you know, from 0 to 100 real quick or anything, but it's definitely better than it was last year, and I'm excited to see what this guy can do, especially under our pass rush specialist, Ryan Nielsen. Then we got Taylor Heinecke on a 2-year deal to play either backup quarterback or starting quarterback, depending on Desmond Ridder. Now, this did, to me, signal that Lamar to Atlanta is not going to happen. Lamar's just demanding too much money, and yes, the Falcons have money, but like I've been saying over the offseason, that most of you guys have seemed to agree with, I would like to use the cap space that we have to build a team around a quarterback first before we go all in and get a quarterback. And I think the Falcons have the exact same plans. It looks like they're trying to get a team before they actually get a quarterback. They're going to see what Desmond Ridder is like for a full year. I agree with that fully. I think that is the right thing to do. Just see what Desmond Ridder's got with a full team around him. And especially a new defense as well. Now, if he doesn't work for 2023, you can bring in Taylor Heinecke, who's, I don't really even know what to make of him. Like, you know, I guess he's, I guess credit to ATL Will on Twitter for saying these. He made this up, not me, but he's kind of like this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick or something like that, where he like travels around, but he's kind of like magically impactful, and I can't really disagree with that. Like, Taylor Heinecke, you know, like, he brought that Washington Commanders team from, like, what were they? Like a 1-5 team to a near playoff team or something like that. And he almost won versus the 2020 Super Bowl champions Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's kind of a good player. You know, is he a franchise quarterback? No, but, I mean, hey, it can definitely keep us in contention if Desmond Ridder is not doing well, is all I'm really trying to say. And isn't he from Georgia? I think he's from Georgia. So it'll be even more interesting to see if he wants to play even harder for his home state, if that's true. So that was an interesting signing. I'm happy to see where that goes. And he's definitely going to be a backup for a little while. So I like that they did that. Then we also get Jonah Smith from the New England Patriots. Now, I was not expecting that, but I'm not complaining. I wasn't expecting the Falcons to go get a tight end, even though I should have. It is Arthur Smith at the end of the day. He loves tight ends, but it looks like to me Arthur Smith is trying to find, well, two things. One, that they're trying to find a better way to utilize Kyle Pitts. Maybe they're trying to use Kyle Pitts as more of a receiver and see if they can utilize him there instead of tight end. And then two, they obviously just need more weapons for Desmond Ridder. And, you know, Desmond Ridder is, Jonah Smith, he has that reunion with Arthur Smith, so he's familiar with his playbook mostly. And, you know, Desmond Ridder's got some great tools to work with if he wants to develop, or Taylor Heinecke if he steps in. Jonah Smith, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London, Olamide Zaccheaus. You know, it's not like what the Dolphins have with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill or anything, but it's not a bad start for any quarterback that comes into Atlanta. It's not nothing is what I'm trying to say. And I really like this Jonah Smith hiring. I just wasn't expecting it, even though I should have. And that was an awesome move for the Falcons. Then we re-signed Caleb McGary. Now, I expected that, but I'm still going to praise them for doing that. They couldn't have let this guy go. I mean, he deserved it, right? Just how amazing his 2022 season was. You can't really let that guy go. Offensive line is like quietly one of the better positions on our team. According to PFF, it was ranked top 5, I think, especially, you know, during the run game. But yeah, like Caleb McGary had an amazing year. He deserves that contract for 3 years, I want to say. And they had to keep him. And if we weren't able to keep him, right tackle would have maybe been a problem for us. So that was a great move. And then the last player, Jessie Bates. I'm not really going to go over this for too long. Like, I made a reaction video that just told you how I feel about it. I'm not going to say much. Basically, I'm excited for Jessie Bates, and I think he's going to plug right in, I guess, and make an impact right away. I got a little emotional on my personal Instagram, and I said, like, man, it's amazing to see what happens when your team actually gets off their ass and signs impactful players to help your team on the field. I'm proud of the boys or something like that. Like, I got a little emotional, but, I mean, why would you not be? It's Jesse Bates. That's like the biggest free agent signing they've ever had in like a very, very long time. And I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I forgot, but it looks like that was mostly it. And if there was anyone new that I didn't get to in this video, I probably just recorded it before the news happened. But I did say the goal for the Falcons for this year was to get at least 2 or 3 big names over the offseason. And I would say they did that. They got Jesse Bates and Jonah Smith, which is a good start, or David Onyemata. Or, I don't know, really any of these players that they got is a pretty big name. The only, like, big superstar name was Jesse Bates, but the other players, it's not like they suck. Like, we're definitely not complaining. So, Terry Fontenot definitely, to me, has the benefit of the doubt at the moment, and I'm excited to see what else he can do, and even during the draft. But let me know what you guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And until this Sunday, answering you guys' mailbag questions, I hope you all stay safe. Appreciate you all for the love and support. And as always, Res up.